When it comes to multiplayer games, Minecraft is my first go-to. You can just set up a server, toss some plugins in it and have fun with your friends. There is something about Minecraft that makes it so unique and special. Even with all the AAA games out there, Minecraft still manages to stand out. But even so, after countless SMP servers, the experience gets a bit boring and things tend to repeat themselves. But what if we change that experience entirely? I came up with a plan to develop one of the biggest Minecraft plugins in existence, something that completely changes the gameplay. And so last year, on the 2nd of May 2023, Project Atlas was born. The basic idea behind Project Atlas is to transform the game into an RPG game, but that was only the beginning. The first thing I want to add are classes or different species. They should all be different and unique, helping in making every player's story a bit different. After some brainstorming and coding, my friends and I came up with 9 different species, with each one having 2 subspecies. I want to give every species some buffs and debuffs. The way this works is by having a main thread that gets executed every second. This main thread will then execute all the buff and debuff methods for every player. To start off, we have the demon species, resistant against fire, night vision and speed during night, and they gain strength from netherrack blocks. The downsides are, they are weak in water, their mana gets drained on soul sand, and they die almost instantly when exposed to the sun. Next up is the elf. Now, I wanted to bring in the idea that the different species live in different biomes. So I gave them regeneration in forests, mana regeneration around leaves, and strength on wood blocks. To contrast this, they will slowly freeze to death in cold biomes, and they need to resort to a vegetarian diet. I also wanted to include some animal-like species, so I added reptiles, wolves, and a feline species. Now, since reptiles generally live in a variety of different biomes, like deserts or swamps, I gave them a speed boost in these biomes. In addition to the speed boost, they also have a base shield and they take no fall damage at all. With their additional shield comes a debuff however. They can't gain any shield from spells by other species. Since reptiles gain a lot of energy during daytime, I gave them a small slowness debuff at night. Another animal-like species is the wolf. They have this nasty buff where they deal double damage to targets that are below 33% of health. They also have the ability to detect nearby players by pressing shift and listening to the sound, and they have night vision and speed at night of course. Now, since their buff is quite strong, I wanted to give them a strong debuff. And so they get nausea while staying outside in the sun, they can only eat meat, and they take more damage if no other wolf is nearby. The last animal species is the feline species. Feline are very agile, so they have a permanent speed buff, and they gain night vision and jump boost during night. They will also not take any fall damage, just like the reptiles. Their debuffs are, they cannot mine anything in water, they can only eat meat, and they get weakness in tight places. That's where they are most vulnerable. Next up are the angels. They have no regeneration cooldown in sunlight. They get a slow falling effect when they press shift, and they get mana regeneration around gold blocks. Their weakness is not surprisingly the night, water, and also the nether, in which they will instantly die. Following the angels, we have a subaquatic species, called the Aquatilia. They are highly adapted to water, granting them permanent night vision, haste, underwater speed, and water breathing. If they are standing right next to coral blocks, they gain the strength effect, but they also have a debuff, where they die in direct sunlight. If they are not standing below the sun, they only gain slowness. If you don't want to change your playstyle, you can just select the human species. They have no buffs or debuffs, and that's it. Last but not least are the dwarves. Dwarves have permanent haste and night vision, since they live in the mountains or underground. They also have this special feature: they need to drink in order to gain more buffs. But we will cover that later. As for the debuffs, they have permanent slowness, mining fatigue and water, and they get the weakness effect when sober. I find it always interesting how many different features you can add to Minecraft if you have a creative mind. It's cool to have different species and all, but how about reworking the combat system? One thing that Minecraft kind of lacks is magic. How about we add that? The new magic system should be based on different elements. Every spell is infused with one or two elements, or no element at all, in which case it has the normal element. Spells are all located in spell trees, and you need to unlock them accordingly to the spell tree. For example, this tree has Flame Shot as its base spell. You need to unlock it to progress further and unlock the other spells. The spells come in different forms. There are offensive spells, defensive spells, and even support abilities to boost mana or buff allies. The possibilities are endless. At this moment, the spells do the same thing over and over again, but I want to implement something that makes every spell more unique and complex. Maybe some spells might work different depending on the weapon you hold or the environment. Of course, it wouldn't be an RPG plugin if I just left the roleplay part out. Every player can create their own character when they join the server, with their own name, species, story, and the players are free to decide what they want to do. The players can currently access all their status and spell trees by using a special altar with a lector. As for now, unlocking spells in survival mode is not implemented yet, but I have some ideas how I could make it work. I don't want to resort to a system where you need to gift something to the altar in order to unlock a spell. Something more complex would be fun, like a trial or a questing system. I mentioned earlier that every species has different subspecies, so I decided to give the player a special character level that you can increase by performing special tasks dedicated to your species. When you reach a certain level, you can select your subspecies, gaining further passive abilities. For instance, if you selected the Demon class, you can decide between the subclasses Hellspawn, Fallen Angel, and Vampire. This is how everything looks in-game from your perspective. But you may be wondering what this means. These are the custom systems, like health, mana, or shield. Player health regenerates after a while after taking damage. Mana regenerates at a slow rate all the time, but certain species or spells can improve this rate, as mentioned early on in the video. The shield system is a bit special. It doesn't work like armor, but it's rather a shield that completely absorbs incoming damage. This shield can only be raised with spells. This means, when a player takes damage, it will be first blocked by the shield. If the shield is destroyed in the process, the remaining damage will be dealt to the player. There is also another special bar, only for a certain species at the moment. I mentioned that dwarves need to drink in order to gain more buffs. This is exactly where this plays a role. The bar shows how drunk you are. At level 0.0, nothing happens at all. At level 0.2, dwarves gain speed, and at 0.8, jump boost. Other species can still drink, but they'll gain debuffs in the process. And that's it for the beginning. The first video was a summary of everything that exists until now. In the next video, we're going to add a vampire species into the game. We will also go more into detail about the code and the functionality. I hope you like this series, and if you have any ideas, don't hesitate to tell me in the comments. See you and have a nice day.